When did you refuse to save someone's life? I was 12 years old when my father left me at a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve. Not because we were poor or because he couldn't take care of me, but because his new wife didn't want another woman's son in her perfect house. The drive there was silent, except for the Christmas music on the radio. I thought he would change his mind. Maybe he just wanted to scare me into behaving better around Sharon. But then we pulled up in front of a gray building with a line of people waiting outside in the cold. He turned to me and said, "This is temporary. Just until Sharon gets used to the idea of you living with us. I'll always take care of you. You're my responsibility." I believed him. Even when he handed me a trash bag with my clothes in it, even when the shelter employee looked at him with absolute contempt, even when he drove away without looking back. For 3 weeks, I told everyone my father was coming back. The other kids at the shelter had heard that story before, but I thought I was different. My father had promised. The 4th week came and went. Then the 2nd month. The shelter had a phone, and I called his cell every day until the number was disconnected. I called his office until the secretary told me I was no longer on the authorized call list. It was through Facebook, on the shelter's computer, that I discovered Sharon had given birth to his real son, a boy named James. The post read, "Our first son has arrived," as if I had never existed. But I kept waiting. On my 13th birthday, I spent the entire day sitting at the shelter's entrance. Nothing. Social services tried to place me in foster homes, but I always ran away and went back to the shelter. I thought, what if he comes looking for me and I'm not here? Eventually, the staff started calling me Ghost because I would disappear from foster homes and always reappear at their door. It took me 8 months to truly understand. He wasn't getting used to anything. He had simply thrown me away and started over with his new family. That's when I stopped being a child. The street either teaches you fast or it kills you. I learned which restaurants threw out fresh food at the end of the day, which libraries let you stay all day, which churches had unlocked bathrooms where you could clean up. I started going to the university library, and when students forgot their books, I read them from cover to cover. Chemistry, biology, anatomy. The librarian, Mrs. Smith, never said anything about my situation, but she started leaving sandwiches for me at the table where I studied. At 16, I lied about my age and got a job washing dishes. I saved every penny. I slept in a storage unit I rented for $50 a month, illegal, but cheaper than any apartment. I studied for the GED, the high school equivalency, between shifts. While other dishwashers thought it was weird that I read medical textbooks, I had a plan. Sharon had stolen my father from me, but she wouldn't steal my future. I passed the GED with the highest score. I got into community college. Then I transferred to the state university on a full scholarship. I chose pre-med, and my essays about my experience with homelessness made admissions committees cry. Medical school was harder, not because of the content, but because of the questions about my past. Why was there no family at my graduation? Why was my emergency contact a librarian? I never mentioned my father. On the forms, I said he was dead. It was easier than explaining the truth. I did 36-hour shifts on only 4 hours of sleep, but I had slept in much worse places. The others complained that the hospital beds were uncomfortable. I wanted to laugh. They had no idea what discomfort was. I specialized in nephrology. I bought a house, a real one, with working heat and a clean bed. I met Anna at a medical conference, smart, beautiful, and able to laugh at my bad jokes. We had a daughter. I built everything from scratch, without him, without any of them. Until my phone rang. Unknown number, but a local area code. I almost didn't pick up, but something made me answer. Dr. Brian Williams? The voice was professional, tired. This is Dr. Poe from Mercy General. Your father listed you as his emergency contact. He's in acute renal failure. We need to discuss treatment options. I hung up. I blocked the number. But they kept calling from other numbers until Anna answered and found out everything. That he needed a transplant. That I was the only compatible relative, since James was only 14 and Sharon was diabetic. You should at least hear what they have to say, Anna suggested. She didn't know the whole truth, only that we were estranged. So I went. I walked into that hospital room and saw him for the first time in 17 years. I entered the room without knocking. I wanted him to see me just like that, without permission, without warning, without emotion. He was lying in bed, pale, bloated, his eyes sunken. He looked nothing like the man who left me at a shelter at 12, but I recognized his mouth. It was the same one that told me, "I'll always take care of you." He opened his eyes, looking at me as if he were seeing a ghost. "Brian," he muttered, his voice dry from tubes and sickness. "I didn't think you'd come." I didn't respond. I just stood there, my hands in the pockets of my white coat. Not for coldness, but for control. Sharon was sitting in the corner of the room. Her face was wrinkled from crying. She barely looked at me. Her son, James, stood by the bed with red eyes. 14 years old. It wasn't his fault, but I didn't care either. "Thank you for coming," Sharon said, as if we were at an awkward family reunion. I walked over to the monitor. Weak heart rate, creatinine through the roof, acute kidney failure. The man was rotting from the inside. "The doctors said you're a match," Sharon blurted out. That you could save him." I turned to face her. And are you going to?" I came to see with my own eyes if it was as bad as they said. My father tried to sit up. He coughed. He wanted to speak again, but I didn't let him. "If you had left me on the street and then gotten hit by a car, maybe I would have mourned you. But you left me alive. That's the fucked up part." Sharon shot to her feet. He was young, he was confused. We had a baby. I was a child, too, I told her. And no one gave me that excuse. James was looking at me with hatred. Good. Let him learn early. So what? Sharon asked. Are you just going to let him die? That's up to him. If his body can hold on without my help, go for it. If not, then fuck him. I walked out of the room. I didn't look back. A minute later, my phone vibrated. It was the hospital. They wanted to know if I authorized the emergency procedure to keep him alive for a few more hours. I didn't answer. I turned off my phone. Not even a day passed before they started calling again. From the hospital, from unknown numbers, even an email from someone on the ethics committee. I didn't answer any of them, but Anna did. She was waiting for me in the kitchen, her phone in her hand and a look on her face that said she already knew everything. Mercy General called me, she said bluntly. They said they aren't authorized to keep him alive without your consent. I said nothing. I poured myself a glass of water. It's true. I nodded. I swallowed the water. It wasn't cold. Brian, are you going to let him die? No. I'm letting him decide if he dies without me. It's different. She crossed her arms. It's revenge. No. It's a consequence. She sat down. I didn't know if she wanted to understand me or judge me. I didn't care. I'm not your enemy, she said. I'm just trying to understand. You won't understand. No one does. Only I was there. I told her. Not everything, just enough. The trash bag, the coat, the phone calls, our first son, on Facebook. I told her I never wanted to see his face again and now that I had, I felt nothing. And if James came and begged you? He'd better not. And if it were our daughter watching you let her grandfather die? My daughter doesn't have a grandfather. She fell silent then. Not out of sadness, but because she understood I wasn't wavering. Hours later, I got a text from the hospital. Your father has entered a critical state. Immediate decision required. I replied with 3 words. Do not authorize. That night, Sharon sent me a photo. My father, unconscious, intubated, with James crying by the bed. The text read, I hope you can live with yourself after this. Spoiler alert, I can. He died at 3:14 a.m. I didn't find out from the hospital. I found out from a Facebook post by Sharon. Rest in peace, love of my life. James and I will carry you in our hearts forever. Not a single mention of me. None was needed. At noon, the hospital called. I answered out of habit. We're calling to inform you that Mr. Daniel Williams passed away early this morning. The body will be transferred to the morgue if the family gives no instructions. I have no instructions. And I'm not family. Are you sure you don't wish to? I hung up. That night, Anna asked if I wanted to go to the wake. For what? I don't know. Closure. The cycle closed when I was 12. She didn't push it. I spent the next few days working. Double shifts, surgery after surgery. Patients who wanted to live and others who pretended to. People who were grateful, people who cried for their parents. I didn't cry. I didn't feel relief, I didn't feel emptiness. I felt the same as always. Nothing. Until one day, as I was leaving the hospital, James was waiting for me. He was standing by the gate, his backpack slung over one shoulder. Just standing there, in silence. We looked at each other for a few seconds. He didn't say hello. Why? He asked. Was he your dad? No. Then what was he? A guy who left me in a shelter so he could have you. His jaw tensed. I couldn't tell if it was anger or if he was holding back tears. You killed him. No, he died on his own. I just refused to resurrect him. You could have saved him. Yes. I also could have killed him with my own 2 hands and the result would be the same. James said nothing more. He turned and walked away. I didn't stop him. He owed me nothing. I owed him nothing either. A week later, a certified letter arrived. It was from a lawyer. My father's will. He left me the house where I grew up. The same one where they told me there was no room for me. The letter said I could pick up the keys at the notary's office whenever I wanted. I had no intention of doing it, but I did it anyway. Curiosity, I guess. Or something worse. Consistency. I went alone. Anna didn't ask. She already knew I didn't want company. The notary looked at me strangely, as if she expected someone more affected. She handed me the envelope with the keys and a copy of the will. I read it right there. I leave this house to my son, Brian, with the hope that he will one day understand me. I always loved him, in my own way. His own way. I got to the house in the afternoon. Same facade, same rusty mailbox, overgrown lawn, closed blinds. I opened the door with the keys he left me. There was no ceremony, just a click, and I was inside. Nothing had changed. The old sofa where he used to watch games, the kitchen where Sharon ignored me, the door to the room that used to be mine, now turned into a laundry room. I took pictures, not for nostalgia, but for documentation. I was planning to sell it. I went upstairs, to the master bedroom. Unwashed sheets, a nightstand with pills, drawers full of things I didn't care about. Until I saw the shoebox. I opened it without thinking. Old, weird photos. One was of me, 7 or 8 years old, smiling. Another was a drawing I had made for him once, saved as if it were worth something. At the bottom, a handwritten letter. The letter had no date. It said, I don't know if you'll ever see this. Maybe I don't deserve it. I just want you to know I'm sorry for everything. I didn't finish reading it. I tore it into 4 pieces and flushed it down the toilet. I went downstairs, locked the door, and called a real estate agent. I wanted it sold fast. Low price. Cash. Are you sure? They asked me. I want it torn down. The next day, Sharon sent me an email. Subject: How can you live with yourself? Body of the message: James cries every night. I don't know what to tell him. What kind of monster are you? I replied, one that you created. Sharon's email was just the beginning. Days later, someone leaked my name on a medical forum, then a blog, then Twitter. It didn't say, brilliant doctor, or self-made hero. It said, son who let his father die even though he could have saved him. The hospital noticed. They called me in for an informal meeting with human resources and clinical ethics. Dr. Williams, the head of ethics, began in a soft voice, we understand this is a personal matter, but the public impact is considerable. I didn't respond. There's pressure for us to release a statement, another said. Can we count on your version of events? There is no version. My father needed a donor. I was a match. I declined. May I ask why? Because I didn't want to. Silence. The kind of silence that's more uncomfortable than any scream. There are those who consider this a violation of your ethical duty. Since when is donating an organ an obligation? They didn't answer. They let me go, but the message was clear. In the following days, some colleagues stopped saying hello. Others sent me private messages of support, but no one said it out loud. A TV show called, they wanted to interview me. The story of the doctor who refused to save his father. I told them no, but I thought about it. My daughter asked me why the grandmother at her school said her daddy was on the internet. I changed the subject. She was 6, it wasn't time. But I knew it would come. That night, Anna looked at me over dinner and said, people think you're a monster. And you? I asked. She didn't answer. 3 weeks after the funeral, I got another text from James. I want to talk. At first, I ignored it. I read it, closed it, and kept working. But in the end, I replied. Okay. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Gerson's Cafe. I didn't do it for him. I did it because I wanted to see with my own eyes how he was swallowing the consequences. I wanted to know if it hurt, and if he looked at me the same way I had looked at his father, with pure disappointment. He arrived on time. School uniform, backpack slung over one shoulder. Dark circles under his eyes, his face thinner. He looked older than he was, but just as lost as any 14-year-old. He sat down without saying hello. I already had my coffee in hand. Sharon doesn't know I'm here, he said. I figured. I didn't come to insult you. Good for you. He shifted in his seat. He didn't know how to start. He was nervous. I didn't care. I came to understand. I raised an eyebrow. Understand? Why you did it? Why you let him die? Why you didn't do anything? Because you didn't want to save him? Is it that simple? Yes. And you don't regret it? No. Why should I? He was your dad. No. He was the man who left me like trash to start a perfect family with you and your mom. You want me to call him Dad because of a blood relation? James looked down. He was quiet for a few seconds. I loved him, he muttered. Good. That was your experience, not mine. But he thought about you. Sometimes he talked to me about you. Really? Before or after he erased my existence on Facebook? Before or after he blocked my number? He said nice things while imagining me eating scraps from the garbage. He didn't answer. He was swallowing it. Part of me admired him for not running away. Part of me wanted him to. Sometimes I think this is all my fault, he blurted out. I looked at him, and that's when I said what needed to be said. Don't blame yourself now. When I was your age, you were already born. You were the new kid, the one who deserved to stay. The second chance he wanted. He made his choice very clear. You benefited from it. You grew up with him, you had his love. I had his silence. So don't come to me now with late tears to share the blame. James stared at me. He was speechless. He was breathing hard through his nose, as if holding back the urge to scream or cry, or both. But he wanted to fix it, he muttered, as if that could save anything. And what am I? A zip file that can be repaired with a patch? A mistake that can be undone with a little letter or a hospital visit? He didn't answer. He stood up. I get it now, he said. And he left. I didn't answer him. I didn't wish him luck. I felt nothing. It wasn't my problem. It never was. That night, I opened James's Instagram profile. A new photo. Him, alone, in front of his father's grave. Caption: Some fathers die. Others are murdered by silence. James's post went viral. Someone shared it on Reddit, then on X, teenage son loses his father. Older brother, a doctor, refused to save him. People didn't need more context. They had their villain. The comments were predictable. Cold. Functional psychopath. I hope he's never your doctor. Monster in a white coat. My name, my photo, my hospital, it was all there. The director called me to his office. He didn't offer me coffee. Bad sign. Brian, this is getting out of control. I didn't do anything illegal. No, but the pressure is real, and the board of directors doesn't want a PR crisis. Are you firing me? I'm asking you to take an indefinite leave of absence until this cools down. I nodded. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. On my way out, a resident avoided my gaze. An intern, one I had trained, said to me in a low voice, I don't agree with what they're saying, but I can't defend you either. I patted him on the shoulder. You don't have to. I don't care. And it wasn't a lie. I went home earlier than expected. Anna was in the yard with our daughter. They were playing with bubbles. She saw me arrive, but she didn't say anything. She just followed me with her eyes. That night, after we put our daughter to bed, she asked me, did it hurt? What? Getting suspended? Everyone talking badly about you. Having to pretend I care hurts more. Silence. You don't feel anything? She asked. Not guilt, not relief, not sadness. Nothing. I feel like I did the right thing. And if our daughter grows up thinking her dad is a monster, then at least she'll grow up knowing her dad didn't let himself be walked all over. We didn't argue anymore. Anna didn't hug me that night, but she didn't pull away either. She just lay in bed, awake, staring at the ceiling. I slept without dreaming. The next morning, I got an email from a journalist. Subject: We want to hear your side. Everyone deserves one. I thought about replying. I replied to the journalist with one sentence, only if you publish everything, with no embellishments or excuses. He replied in 5 minutes. Done. We met in a discreet bar. No cameras. Recorder on the table, notebook in hand. He seemed young, but he knew what he was doing. He didn't start with pleasantries. Why did you let him die? Because he wanted a life without me. I gave him that, until the very end. But you could have saved his life. Literally. I'm not a superhero. I'm a doctor. I don't donate organs to just anyone because they share my DNA. Do you regret it? I would regret it if I had given in. He took notes quickly, without interrupting me. And what about James? The teenager who lost his father. He lost the same man who lost me almost 20 years ago. But you had the choice to break that cycle. I'm not here to heal other people's wounds. I'm here to live with my own. A lot of people hate you. And before that, a lot of people ignored me. It doesn't change anything. He was quiet for a few seconds. Some say you killed your father without touching him. I looked him straight in the eye. He killed himself when he chose another son and left me in a shelter. What I did was consistency, not a crime. He asked if he could quote me with my full name. I told him yes. I wanted them to read it. 3 days later, the article came out. I'm not his murderer. I'm the result. Most of the comments destroyed me. A few, a very few, understood. And among them all, one from Sharon appeared. He killed Daniel without using a scalpel. He let him die like a coward. I didn't reply, but I saved the screenshot. That same night, I got a call from a private number. I answered. Silence. And then, James's voice. I want to see you. But this time, not to talk. We met at the same cafe. James was no longer the trembling kid from before. He carried himself differently, straighter, harder. But he was still a child playing at being an adult. He didn't order anything. Neither did I. He sat across from me without a greeting. I read your interview, he said. I figured. You enjoy this. What? Being the villain? I prefer that to being a lie. He held my gaze. You wanted him to die from the beginning. Yes. So it wasn't a medical decision. It was an emotional murder. I laughed, a dry, short sound. Would you like it to be? I'd like you to admit it. I don't owe you any confessions, James. I'm doing you a favor. I'm showing you what happens when you abandon someone, thinking they'll never get back up. He regretted it. And you want me to forgive him because he regretted it when he was dying? I'm sorry, regret with an expiration date doesn't work for me. He fell silent. He was breathing deeply. He was holding himself back. You have a daughter, he said. What are you going to tell her when she asks about this? The truth. That her grandfather threw me away and I didn't offer myself up as a spare part. James nodded slowly. His face hardened. I hope you never need help from anyone. I've already learned not to count on anyone. Thanks for confirming it. He stood up without saying goodbye. I stayed a few more minutes, watching the street through the window. When I left the cafe, I knew that was the last time I would ever see him. And I felt nothing. That night, I found an envelope in my mailbox with no return address. Inside, a copy of my father's death certificate. A phrase was written across it in black marker, your signature is on this, too. I saved the envelope without opening the door. I didn't look around. I didn't care if it was James, Sharon, or some curious neighbor. They didn't scare me. They couldn't take anything from me that they hadn't already taken. That night, I sat at the dining room table with the certificate in front of me. I read it as if it were just another one of the hundreds of papers I signed daily. Name, date, cause of death, multi-organ failure, resulting from acute renal failure. Nothing I didn't already know. At the top, in black letters, your signature is on this, too. Yes, it was. Not in ink, but in will. I put the document in a folder. Unlabeled. I stuck it in the back of a drawer that isn't opened often. Not to hide it, just to not have it in sight. A week later, the hospital asked me to come back. Not because they believed in me, but because they were practical. I accepted. I went back to operating, back to teaching, back to being the doctor everyone respected but no one wanted to know too well. My name stopped appearing on social media. The hate moved on to another, fresher victim. As it always does. Anna never asked me about it again. We continued in the same house, raising the same daughter, speaking just enough. We were okay. Not perfect, not happy. Okay. One night, while we were making dinner, my daughter asked me, "Do you have a dad?" I thought about lying, about saying no, but it wasn't worth it. I did, I told her. He died. Was he good? It took me a second to answer. Not to me. She nodded. She didn't ask for more details. She helped me set the table. After dinner, I went to my study. I opened the emergency contact file I kept updated for the hospital. I removed Anna's name. I wrote a new one. Emily Williams. Daughter. I saved the changes. I closed the file. Done. There is no redemption. There is no forgiveness. Only decisions made, signed in silence.